Hello, hello. Welcome back to your weekly astrology transits. So let's dive in. Well, we just yesterday we had our Mercury retrograde. Mercury, you can see it's got the little R there, and it turned retrograde. Let me go back a day at 4 degrees Virgo, right up here. And then I've got my transit interpreter in the middle. I don't know if I have the orb set quite right. What I'm trying to do is have them give me the aspects as we get closer to the aspect. And then I think once I have it set for once it passes, it drops off. So this would be on the approaching aspect. And I think I have all of them there selected for the most part. So I'll see if this gets too busy. I'll try to point things out. You don't have to look at everything, but that's a little bit what's different going through. I have two software programs and just getting trying to know what to ask and how to ask and the help and try to find in the videos to set the things sometimes gets a little crazy, but it can be done. So anyway, yesterday we had Mercury move into Virgo. You see it says S stationary. It was just starting to turn around. So it doesn't really go backward in space, but from our perspective, it looks that way. All right, so today you can see now it's starting to move retrograde. We have it, Mercury goes 3 degrees. But before I get into this week totally, I want to just cover our moons because the moons, I cover our moons. Isn't that funny? Oh my goodness, you gotta watch what I say. Cover your moon. It's shining too bright, lady. Okay. Oh goodness. The moons where the moon is going to be this week, the signs the moon will be moving through. So we start out, it started out at the end of Leo, and yesterday we moved into Virgo. So we've got a little grouping of Virgo there, which I'll get to in a second. But Moon in Virgo, and then Thursday it moves into Libra, and then Saturday it moves into Scorpio. So, and then by next week it'll move into Sagittarius on Tuesdays when we'll be back. But we'll cover it in 3 signs this week. So as we start out in Virgo, the moon in Virgo, it is very, very fastidious. It's very, it emphasizes it, but the moon there, it's let me just give it to you. So it's like being of service. It's doing Virgo things. It's untangling the knots of the world. It's solving vexing problems. It's relieving pain and suffering. That's what a Virgo wants to do. So throw the moon in the mix. So even though you may not ask for help, you're going to want to do it, or you'll feel even somebody offering you help to you will feel really nice, even the smallest gestures. So it gives you energy to clean, to organize, to analyze, to make things right. It could get, how it gets extreme was it gets naggy, and it's like, honey, did you do this? I asked you 3 times to put the seat down, and just stuff like that. Virgo can just get over the top, so that you got to be careful. We all have to be careful. We just don't get a little bit too nitpicky, but to use that moon and Virgo energy to organize, to plan, to feel like you want to organize. That's the thing with the moon. It's like we have to feel like we want to do that, or that tide of emotional feeling comes over us. Now I think I love this time of the month when the moon's in Virgo, because it really gives me the feeling like organizing things. I'm not fighting myself and thinking, oh, I got to do that. Oh man, I got to do that. It's like, I want to do that. I want to get that pile of crap dealt with. I want to plow through it and get it out of my way. So I feel like being neat and organized and putting things in order. I think that's the goal with that. And then the moon will move into Libra, which is then now you've got things organized. Now you can go feel like balancing and helping others. You can feel like being one with your partner. You can feel like confronting others. You can feel like getting in, this might be, when it's in Libra, it's usually a nice sign. It's usually polite and pleasant, and helping or seeing the others, seeing, you more, you're getting out of just your own perspective into those of others. And then when it moves into Scorpio, it's kind of a mixed bag. You may feel like getting to the bottom of something. You might feel like investigating, but you yourself may not want to be poked and looked at and prodded. It's it kind of goes both ways. That's where the Scorpio part, it's like, hey, what you looking at? Kind of a thing comes out. It's like, you look at me like that again, I'm gonna just that's where it can get kind of crazy like that. But it's also good for feeling like getting to the bottom of something, like investigating the Moon in Virgo. Virgo is a very, very intelligent sign. It's one of the most intelligent signs. And then when it gets over to Scorpio, it's another intelligent sign, but a different way. It's able to just stick with something and analyze it and get to the bottom of something. Where Virgo is a bit more, it's mutable instead of fixed. And it's very intelligent. It can hold a lot of information, but it sometimes can just get too much information, and it gets overwhelmed, where you might have to come back to something deeper, following that rabbit hole that you want to, or really, it's like, something's wrong, or you're just going to get to the bottom of it. Wait for the moon in Scorpio. So that's the moon energy we have this week. And I think it's really important to kind of understand that, because that's our feelings. It's like organizing, the first thing, and then others, and then investigating. So that's our modus of operandi of feelings this week. But just to remind you of a couple of other things, we have this little trio now. I mean, with the moon there, we've got Moon and Mercury and Venus all in Virgo. So just to give you a little rehash of what that's all about. Mercury just moved in there, and it's going to move back through. But while we have Mercury there, we also have that logical, smart, analytical, receptive, excellent listening, being very grounded psychologically. You can get to the bottom of things as well, doing detective work. Mercury can be a good planner, but it's also indecisive, fidgety, and you can be so into something that you can't sleep, and you could be like obsessing about something, obsessive compulsive and insomniac, while it's here. And then in a few days, it'll move back into Leo. So we'll get back to that big ideas, being very vocal about something, bringing up the drama, maybe selling something, talking somebody into something, loud talker, communicating loud, communicating from the heart. Leo is also fixed sign, so it could be bullheaded. It loves its own ideas. So that's going to be going back into Leo, and then it'll go through the shadow period, which is where it was. So it's going to be making aspects that it already did. And then it'll go forward, and then it'll make aspects a third time. That's just what planets do. But then Venus, Venus is another a sign. Being in Virgo, it's not maybe its favorite place, but it can get things. It's like it likes to clean, it's like in its detriment. Well, no, and it's in its fall when Venus is in Virgo. It's kind of like, opposite of being exalted. It loves to be in Pisces. But then when it's here, it's not in a very comfortable place. But nonetheless, it can be, very fastidious, very clean, very tidy, practical. Back to that, getting things done, practical in friendships and relationships. Not so lovey-dovey, but it's more practical and more friendly, I would say, like that. Helpful, kind, quiet, conservative. It could be timid, and it could be, again, nagging. Very hard to please, high standards, difficult relaxing, letting go of social imperfections. So we've got a lot of this nervous kind of energy with that. And then Mars over here in an air sign. Mars, well, it's restless, let's put it that way. Gemini is very dexterous and spontaneous, and wants new information, but it moves it on. Mars in a mutable sign is not very dependable, so it gets reckless, restless, spontaneous, nimble. It could have good physicality, like balance and athletic, and more athleticism. It can be more dexterous, more wiry, more physically expressive, Mars being there. It's also chaotic, and I have to underline unreliable. just is. You yourself or other people or people that have it natally, Mars in a mutable sign tend to be unreliable. Oh yeah, I'll be there. No, you won't, kind of thing. Or, you might have a great excuse, but it's still an excuse. So those of you with mutable Mars, just watch that. Also, it could be erratic, not tied to facts. It's just bringing information out, but it's not necessarily factual. Shifty, unpredictable, poor stamina. So that's kind of where Mars is, but it's maybe a little bit happier there than it was when it was in Taurus. And then Jupiter over there as well. We get Jupiter in Gemini. We've known that's there. We have that for the year. Thrives on change, interaction, new information, all that Virgo stuff. It's like large interaction, large communication, discoveries, intelligence, intelligent engagements with others or debates, discussions, more things on the cerebral level, and it's restless and inconsistent as well. So those are the inner planet energies that we have to contend with. Now, that's our basic stuff. So coming into this week, we're looking at, I think this week is going to be kind of a mixed bag. We're going to see a lot of these quincunxes here, these green lines. This is the 150-degree angle. These are the things that are going to be hard to mix. I think this next couple weeks are going to be kind of rough. So just keep that in mind. Be kind to yourself. Don't be too harsh on other people or other things, because it's going to be kind of tough for everybody. But we've got a lot of stuff that we just can't totally mix together, that don't sit exactly right. And we're starting off here. Look at Venus. Started yesterday. If I go back, you'll see it still. Venus and the moon over. If I say in conjunct, it's really a quincunx. I'm just, in conjunct, it could really be a 30-degree angle, not the 150, but it's kind of similar, the same. But if I say that, I mean the quincunx, which is 150. But anyway, when the moon moved, from Leo into Virgo, it made the quincunx there with Pluto. And then we have Venus picking up on that right there, because they're exact. Yesterday you could see 0 degrees and then 0 degrees. And then it will kind of stay there and move out of orb. Yeah, I got it set for, I think, 2 degrees. But anyway, we have all of that over to Pluto. So what is that? What is that? We had Moon, Mercury and Venus, all making just like, I just don't get it. I just don't get it, and then look, it's about ready to, Pluto's about ready to go back into Capricorn. We've got 30 more minutes of time here. But it's a mix of not getting along with maybe the voices of, it's like the big picture is kind of hard to see. It's like we got, Virgo is saying, hey, come on, pay up, do this. And Pluto's, looking at it, the rebelliousness of all. So we kind of have a thing that's like, I think people are having a hard time stomaching a lot of the information that's coming out, maybe just not mixing. It's just like, what is that? Who is that? They're kind of just disgusted, maybe on the political scene all the way around. Things are being forced down our throats and we can't hold it. It's like just the gag reflex is quick. It's like, it wants to just come right back up. That's a pretty big, loud part. And then the sun over here, as the sun gets closer, it'll get tighter, but you can see the sun is picking up a quincunx over to Saturn. So it's just like not getting along with the hard lessons, like the sun in Leo, I am important and dramatic and my ego and myself. And I just don't want to do that. That's Saturn, in Pisces. It just wants to dissolve it. And there's like the sun, as it gets closer to 18 degrees here through the week, it will start having that. So we kind of could come up against some things that are going to be a hard mix for ourselves, with Saturn type things, authority, restricting things, trying to find boundaries might not work real well. And then you'll see as the sun goes on later through the months, then it'll make that over to Neptune, which will start to get fuzzy. Things will kind of fuzz out, but we'll get there. This is interesting too. Neptune here is kind of in the midpoint of being in two sextiles with the outer planets. So we've got it, on one side, it's got the sextile to Pluto, and on the other side, it's got the sextile to Uranus. So this is kind of interesting. And you can see the orbs are just a little bit off, but still, it's like Neptune is the receiver of both of those planetary energies, and I think it's kind of making it wake up. And 29 is a hard degree enough, and in Pisces, it's just kind of like it's like the end of the end, and then we have Uranus coming up with some structure and grounding, in Taurus. Maybe throwing in a lifeline, blowing some of the fog out of the way, so to speak. And then Pluto going, hey, we've got to think of everyone, I'm in Aquarius, let's rebel against this. This is wrong. Why you're all doped up and drugged and everything, it's kind of a thing. And poor Neptune is going, what? Who, what? Huh? So anyway, maybe part of our creativity, we can get some maybe spontaneous creativity. Maybe we can pull something from the depths, Pluto, for maybe it's not maybe just about you. It's maybe can be shared with all. These other the red ones. Then we got the sun with a quick one to Jupiter. That's nice. The sun, today making that nice kind of sextile. So that's given a little bit of big thought with things, maybe helping us to laugh about things. But then we've got like Pluto. We've got that square and a half over to Jupiter. Well, everything is not always perfect. So it's just kind of it's just a little bit of a rough kind of an aspect. Irritating. Let's put it that way, irritating. All right, so moving in tomorrow. See, here's our more of our quincunxes. Is this what I wanted to show? Yeah, okay, so we've got the quincunxes, and we'll get to the other in a minute. Sun over to Saturn. See, look at there. It's like, again, we, our ego is having to deal with something it can't quite fathom. It's like, I don't know why I have to move back to the end of the line. I don't know why I had to do this. I don't know why that had to happen, kind of energy. But the sun will move off and they'll be better. And then Venus back again, still finishing its, it's like Venus, like, I don't want to have to go look at that. I'm just so over this kind of an energy. But then we also, as we move into, where is it? I don't know. See, this is where I don't, maybe it'll do it. It didn't do it. I don't know why it didn't do that. There we go. Okay, so I guess it did it a little earlier. So it's today, it's putting it in the sextile. This should be the sun over to Jupiter. That's what I want it to be, bigger line, but I guess, yeah, I guess it's like set at the larger amount of 3. It seems like it's off. Anyway, it is, you can see there. I got to reset this. I knew it was not quite right. But anyway, 15 degrees, 15 degrees. They're 2 signs apart. So that's nice. That's, tomorrow we're moving into it today, but tomorrow and then Thursday, it'll pass. But we're going to have that nice sun to sextile over to Jupiter. I think that's going to give us a little shot in the arm to get through some of these crazy things, or some of these things that don't quite make sense. We got our ego. It's right in the middle of Leo. I forget the name of that holiday, right in the middle of the season. That midpoint of the midpoint. It's the middle of the fixed sign. And then with the middle, Jupiter is at the middle of a mutable sign. So anyway, we've got that Jupiter, that expansiveness, and then the sun, expansiveness. That's the key of our universe, the source. So that's a nice aspect. So maybe focus on big things, or making it happen, or giving you the energy to maybe make that step, to have the courage to just go ahead and do it. And that's nice. That's a good aspect. I think that one is like worth it through the whole week. That's kind of our big thing to focus on. All right, moving into Thursday. Again, this is Mercury, because it was retrograde, is moving slowly. It's still picking up on that wide inconjuncts, quincunxes. But then we have that yod. We got this quincunx from Mercury. So we have Pluto at that yucky angle to Mercury, and we have Neptune at that kind of yucky angle over to Mercury, both bearing down that energy over to Mercury. And then together, they're making that sextile. That's what the yacht is. So Pluto and Neptune, the outer planets over to one of the fastest moving planets there, but it's going slow because it just turned retrograde. So it's kind of hanging in that bullseye. It's in that spotlight of bringing things up. Things are, I think the communication is, things are coming out, but Neptune being there is confusing it. It's this total gaslighting. It's total bullshit. Things are coming out, and people, I think, are seeing that. Mercury there is sharp. It's in Virgo. It's like, no, you can't pull this over on me. I know better. You can't try to confuse it. I know better. You've already tried this before. It's not working. That is that energy. And I think we're all starting to feel it because this is the mundane horoscope of the planet. Okay. And then if you yourself have things at these lower degrees or late degrees, you'll probably feel it even more so. All right, moving on. Thursday we did, and Friday, now we get busy again. You can see like a little bit of reprieve there, but then we get complicated. All these quincunxes. Look, that's what I'm saying. We have to make adjustments. That's what it's like. We got to adjust all over the place. Here the moon has got to adjust, to Saturn, and then we've got Mercury's. We talked about that already, and then Venus is having to adjust. The sun is having to adjust. It's just like all over the place. And then we've got the two malefics in that square and a half. Yuck. Friday might be kind of a rough day. And then there's Saturn is got that quincunx to both the sun and the moon. So when the moon clicks in, it'll be fast, but it'll be, both bearing down on Saturn. Both the sun and moon are going to gang up a little bit on Saturn. It's just kind of like, it's like the sun and moon are going to go kind of just really yell at Saturn. It's like, no, I'm not going to do it. Get out of my borders. It's going to like portal Saturn. Oh, I didn't mean it. I was just trying to be myself. Saturn is like, yeah, screw you, Saturn. So that kind of might be, nice to keep, the sun and moon are going to maybe keep Saturn in check a little bit. So it's going to be like under the fire. So it's like, hey, if you're going to speak up about something right. Don't be nebulous. Don't just say something out your ass. Don't something just blah, just pull it out. Make it meaningful. That's kind of how that energy is going to go. So it's going to be like a little bit of a rough day. A lot of moon aspects. The moon is going to be, well, we got this one here, but then the moon is also going to trine Mars. See over here, it's because early in the day, the moon moves like what do we say, 12 degrees a day. So you can see here that it would have already, I've got it set for late in the day, but moon would have already made the trine over to Mars, which is kind of nice. It's like at least energy maybe to get through some of that. And then it will trine Jupiter, because they're right there, right? It goes one and then the other. So moon, earlier in the day, we get the trine to Mars and Jupiter. Good thing, good, maybe good relationship, goals, communications. There we go. And then the sun and moon sextile, right? They're both there at 17 degrees. So they get along, they're both outward masculine. You're getting the voice out. And then later in the day, we got the, here it's going to make that, Saturn will make that, the sun and moon will make the quincunxes to Saturn later in the day. All right. Now moving on to Saturday. Look at this, interesting. It's like a star, like we got quincunx, going over quincunx, and then we got square and a half and square and a half. It's another busy, kind of funky day. The sun, we still have that in conjunct there. It is passing to Saturn. We have the moon in conjunct over, I should say quincunx, sorry, see, I have to keep doing that. Quincunxing now over to Uranus. We do, I mean, it'll pick up on that. It just finished it there. Oh, I didn't show it. Did it go back there? No, it's not showing it always. But anyway, so surprise something, maybe somebody gives you something and you got to go, oh, thank you. Okay. And then the moon will have to do the in conjunct over to Neptune. Right? See right after it, see there, it's right there as it moves out of that sign. So maybe a little hazy relationship or issues, near the end of Saturday, because the moon is like still in Libra, but then it got some fuzziness over it before it leaves that sign over to Neptune. Neptune always fuzzes stuff out and diffuses things. So make sure you either hear somebody correctly, or they hear you, or you speak something clearly, or you ask questions if you don't hear something correctly as well. And then well, the moon, as it's going through its, it will, you've got squares to Pluto and sextile to Mercury. So again, you feeling, okay, to me, this is kind of like more depth of information coming out, and you feel it. It's like, this is wrong. With the moon, when it moves, it's going to just move into investigate. We do there. It moves into Scorpio right then, and it's going to start just feeling it, because it's a sister sign to where it is, native to, I should say. Moon is at home in God, my brain is fuzzing out, in Cancer, but then when it's in a water sign, at least it's like akin to that. It's like that feelingness. So we can, even though it doesn't like to be there, it's like it feels like moon's under a microscope. It can still feel like getting to the bottom of something. So as we move into Sunday, we have it that deep investigating, or that deep need to get to the bottom of something or to follow it through. And then we have it and making that over to, it's like making a nice, or I should say a sextile over to Venus. So it's like that Venus and Virgo will give us that mentality, or that we'll be able to pick up on whether something is true or not. We'll feel that. And then that in conjunct over to Mars would be like, I don't want to act on it. I just don't feel right about it. I don't feel good about it. So I think that, just stay with your gut and your feeling, especially moving into Sunday. Yeah. All right, what else is going on now? We still have this. This is going to be here for a little bit longer. We got this square and a half. I don't usually do a lot of other, I usually do the major aspects, but I have it set for that. And that's just still rough. Pluto and Mars, and not a harmonious degree. So there's still irritation with this, I'd say. It's still irritating, or irritableness. I think that's pretty much it on that day. And then that brings us to Monday. Moon still finishing up over there in Scorpio, picking up a square and a half over to Neptune, and then the North Node as it moves on. Again, kind of tense stuff. Things are going to try to get fuzzed out, and then North Node, where we're going, we got to check ourselves. Is it really where I want to go? Is that really what I want to do? So it's good to just maybe have that healthy doubt. You don't always have to solve it at the moment, but that's kind of what comes up, because it's also then it will, as it moves on, it will trine over to Saturn, it will square over to the moon, and then it'll oppose Uranus. So what does all that mean? So moon, because it moves fast, but it's pretty much like a moon week, not a lot of other heavy aspects, but it's again about our feelings. So it's making an uncomfortable conversation with something larger, Jupiter. It's making a comfortable conversation with Saturn, the trine. So maybe that we get some inner feelings of guidance, of boundaries, of structure, which is good. So we want to have that structure before we move ahead. And then it squares the sun. We'll be at that quarter moon, or the half moon, I guess, which we call it. It's half full. It's like we're past the new moon now. And that's when we have to check ourselves, right? We're building, the moon is increasing. So we're building, and we have that, that square, fixed signs, right? The moon, Leo, sun, the moon, Virgo or Scorpio, and the sun, Leo. It's fixed. So we got a little bit of, like, I want to be here. No, I want to be here. The moon was going to win out. And then it will oppose Uranus. So maybe something you didn't consider. Something comes up out of nowhere, because as we see, right here, it's almost the opposite there now. If we go just by hours. Where'd it go? Try to get it to 24 7. Does it pick up on it? Oh, why doesn't it pick up on it? Look at that. It doesn't pick up on it. This is what's frustrating about studying some of this. See, look at it. It didn't pick up on that at all. Should be an opposition right there. Anyway, you can see that it's opposing. So we have, late, we're coming into Tuesday next week when the moon is actually going to be opposed at. But nonetheless, go back to Monday. Nonetheless, we got some of those angles picking up where something could come up out of the blue, some that you're not even considering. So it's kind of a moon week. It's an emotional week. It's a busy week, fastidious, with all the energy there in Virgo. But see how quickly Mercury is going to move out. Look at Monday, and then we'll go into it next week. But we just see we got one more day. Oh, look at that, kind of interesting. But anyway, there we go. Mercury moves back into into Leo, and we start getting tangled up with some other things again. So anyway, we'll see the sun pass over that. It'll be Kazini next week, when it'll be in the heart of the sun. But anyway, that's what we got to look forward to. So emotional centering week, trying to make comfortable with things you have nothing in common with, adjustments, figuring out what will work. That's really the theme of this week. All right, hope that helps and weather through it. We'll talk next week. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.